Every time someone disrespected you and you fired back, you bled. Every time you defended yourself, explained yourself, justified your position in the heat of conflict, you hemorrhaged control. Every argument you won with words was a battle you lost in silence. The weak man's reflex is to speak when struck. The powerful man's instinct is to vanish into stillness and watch his enemy drown in the void he leaves behind. You have been that weak man. You have felt the acid regret hours after the confrontation, replaying what you said, hating yourself for the desperation in your voice, knowing you gave them exactly what they wanted, your reaction, your energy, your power. Tonight, you master the Byzantine art of the void hook, the ancient principle that silence in the face of disrespect is not weakness, but a trapdoor beneath your enemy's feet. Once you grasp this, no insult, no provocation, no conflict will ever extract another drop from you. You will become the silence that devours them whole. Machiavelli observed something chilling in the courts of Renaissance Italy. The princes who spoke least in moments of insult ruled longest and most absolutely. He watched minor nobles destroy themselves, trying to bait stoic rulers into public argument. The prince who took the bait lost the throne. The prince who absorbed the disrespect in perfect silence, who simply looked, nodded once, and walked away, became legend. Sun Tzu codified the same principle in ancient China. In the midst of chaos, there is also opportunity. The general who maintains composure when provoked controls the battlefield. The razor sharp truth they both understood, reaction is submission. When you speak in response to disrespect, you have announced to everyone watching that this person has power over you. You have confirmed that their words penetrate. You have shown them the wound. Most men today erupt like fools in conflict, texting paragraphs, raising voices, explaining themselves to people who have already decided they are worthless. You will not be that man. Silence is your throne. The void is your weapon. And from this moment forward, disrespect will become the mechanism by which your enemies destroy themselves while you watch from a place they can never reach. They insult you. They disrespect you publicly, privately, casually, artificiously. It doesn't matter. They expect the dopamine hit of your reaction. They are predators waiting for the twitch, the flinch, the counterattack, and you give them nothing. You meet their eyes. You hold the gaze for 1 second longer than comfort allows. Then you turn and leave without a single word. No defense, no explanation, no acknowledgement that they even exist. In that moment, their neurological reward system collapses. The disrespect was an investment. They spent social capital, reputation, energy to provoke you. Your silence bankrupts that investment instantly. Within seconds, their brain begins to spiral. Why didn't he respond? Does he not care? Does he know something I don't? Did I just make a mistake? The dopamine they craved becomes cortisol. The power they felt becomes panic. Watch them over the next hours. They will check their phone obsessively. They will draft messages to you and delete them. They will tell others what they said to you, hoping for validation, and hear their own words sound hollow without your reaction to give them weight. They will replay the moment of your silence and feel for the first time the sickening possibility that you are operating on a level they cannot comprehend, that you dismiss them not because you were hurt, but because they are beneath the effort of speech, that they are irrelevant, The void you created echoes in their skull. They fill it with fear, doubt, obsession. You have become the silence that lives rent free in their mind, inescapable, maddening, impossible to resolve. They disrespected you to feel powerful. Your silence made them feel small. You did not win an argument, you won their mind. This is how princes turned insults into enemies' suicides. This is how emperors watched rivals destroy themselves without lifting a sword. This is the void hook, and you have just become the architect of collapse. When disrespected, your first instinct will scream for retaliation. Override it with ice. Do not type a response. Do not open your mouth. Do not even acknowledge you heard them. Immediate silence creates immediate uncertainty. They expected a fight. You gave them emptiness. Psychologically, humans cannot tolerate unresolved social transactions. Your non-response becomes a debt. In their mind, they will try desperately to collect. Machiavelli noted that the courtiers most obsessed with ruined princes were those the prince never dignified with acknowledgement. Like a Byzantine emperor who heard an insult and simply continued his conversation as if the speaker did not exist, erasing them from reality with indifference. This is how silence carves fear. Do not linger. Do not wait for them to finish. Do not give them the satisfaction of seeing you process their words. The moment disrespect lands, you exit. Walk out of the room, close the chat, hang up. No explanation, no dramatic exit, just absence. This withdrawal is not retreat. It is strategic vanishing. Sun Tzu understood that the enemy cannot strike what is not present. Your departure creates a void they will fill with paranoia. They will wonder if you are plotting, unbothered, or so far above them, you simply forgot they spoke. Ancient generals who withdrew from insults in court left rivals obsessing for years. This is how silence carves fear. If the disrespect happens publicly, your silence becomes theater. They insult you. You say nothing. You do not defend. You do not flinch. Everyone watching sees them attacking a statue. The audience, hungry for drama, expects your counterattack. You deny them. In that denial, the spotlight shifts. Suddenly, the crowd sees not your weakness, but their aggression against someone who refuses to engage. The disrespecter becomes the fool shouting at silence. Machiavelli observed that crowds turn on the aggressor when the victim shows no wound, because the crowd senses strength they cannot name. Like a Roman consul who let a senator scream accusations, then walked to his seat without a word, leaving the Senate chamber silent and the senator humiliated by his own volume. This is how silence carves fear. Humans are neurologically wired to close loops, and insults is an open loop. Your response closes it. Your silence keeps it open forever. They will reach out days, weeks, months later, veiled apologies, casual messages, just checking in, all attempts to close the loop, to force you to acknowledge what happened. Do not give it to them. Remain in the void. Every attempt they make to reconnect is evidence of your power. They cannot move on because you never entered the game. Sun Tzu wrote, "The greatest victory is that which requires no battle." You are winning a war they are fighting alone. Like the warlords who never responded to peace offerings from desperate rivals, letting them weaken in uncertainty. This is how silence carves fear. The longer you remain silent, the more their imagination destroys them. In the first hours, they think you are hurt. By the end of the day, they wonder if you care at all. By the third day, they fear you are planning something, By the end of the week, they realize you have moved on completely, and they are still thinking about you. Time transforms your silence from passivity into omnipresence. Machiavelli understood that perception of power often exceeds actual power, and the silent prince seems to hold infinite cards because no one knows what he possesses. Like the emperors who never addressed threats directly but let months of silence crush dissent through sheer psychological weight, this is how silence carves fear. If you choose to re-engage, and you may never need to, do it only when their obsession is obvious, when they have humiliated themselves, reaching out, when they are weakened by the void. Then you speak, briefly, and coldly, with the tone of someone addressing a stranger. I don't recall what you're referring to. Or simply, okay. This dismissal after prolonged silence is the kill shot. You have shown them that what mattered to them, what consumed them, never even registered in your world. Sun Tzu taught that the supreme general attacks the enemy's strategy, not his armies. Your late, indifferent response attacks their entire narrative of the conflict, like the kings who, after months of silence, sent single-line replies to desperate letters confirming absolute irrelevance. This is how silence carves fear. You now possess 6 blades most men will never sharpen. Wield them coldly, wield them without mercy, wield them in utter silence. You no longer react. You no longer explain. You no longer bleed in conflict. The man who screamed back at disrespect, who typed paragraphs to defend himself, who lost sleep replaying arguments, that man is dead. In his place stands something harder, something the world cannot move. The disrespect that once felt like a knife now feels like air. It passes through you because you are no longer solid enough to wound. You are the void. This is the moment you cease being the fool who argues with those beneath him and become the shadow that commands without speaking. You have learned what emperors knew and princes weaponized. Silence is not the absence of power, it is the presence of absolute control. When they insult you and you vanish, you do not retreat. You ascend. You move to a plane where their words cannot follow, and from that height, you watch them spiral, scramble, and self-destruct. You are now untouchable. You are now silent. You are now sovereign. Every conflict from this moment forward is not a test of your strength. It is a revelation of theirs. And when they disrespect you, they are handing you the rope. All you must do is stand still and watch them hang. If this cut deep, if you felt the wound of every time you reacted and bled power, inscribe in the comments, I choose the void to seal this transformation. Like this transmission, subscribe to the archive. Notifications on. Weak men will argue with the screen and scroll, hemorrhaging power into the digital abyss. Powerful men will act in silence, close this video, and never speak when disrespected again. Which one are you? In the stillness, you now master. Their chaos becomes your empire. In the void of your words, their fear is born eternal